Okay. Hi everyone, we're back again. It's Elena Suarez. So today we're going to be talking about how to have a successful online school semester, right? Like, especially if you've never done this before, it's going to be a kind of interesting thing to kind of figure out. So I'm going to provide some tips and tricks to start the online semester strong. A little background about me is that I'm a senior at UTSA. I started as a freshman there, and uh, let's see, what's something else? I've taken like a big amount of online classes. I want to say about like 12, so I know the online kind of layout, and I actually prefer it that way. And it might surprise you. You might be doing online for this, and you might like it. That was me. I was so scared to go online for my first online class because I was like, oh, time management, yikes. Um, but honestly, it's really not bad at all. Um, and so I'm going to provide some tips and tricks about how can you start off on the right track. So a big thing is staying organized. Make a weekly calendar with classes and dedicated time to studying. So what I do is I have a planner and I have, it looks like an actual, you have a box and I put my test in there, I put homework in there if I have any like assignments. And then I have, if I flip out of that, it has like these lines. And what I'll do is say like read this many pages or read this particular chapter by this time or whatever. And so that helps me a lot having that calendar slash planner to kind of keep up with my studying. Setting reminders for upcoming deadlines. So you can do this on your phone or on sticky notes. I know that's a big thing. Whatever helps you remember. I tend to use a planner. I just love a planner, but I know since we're going online, you might not want to buy a planner and put that money out and have to take it out and do things like that. You're like, I'm already on my laptop, so why don't I use something on the computer? Which there are things. I actually have a thing called Microsoft To Do, and I just put, it's like a little checklist, and it's also really satisfying when you check it off. But things like that. Another important one: build in small breaks. Research suggests that 15 minutes on 10 minute slash 10 minutes off can make studying more effective. I know a lot of people that I know tend to be science majors. They'll just want to stay up super late and just cram and study all they can, but they don't know the effects it has on their brain. And I'm going to be honest, I've been one of these people before. I'm just like, oh, I forgot to study. Let me just cram all I can in one. But I realized that that is actually more damaging than probably not studying at all because how much am I really retaining here? So remember to accommodate for those times off. Also, if you find you're struggling managing your time, there's academic support that can help. We have actual academic coaches that can help with time management and getting organized. We have advisors. You can talk to your professors. There's so many resources out there, and I'm actually going to have another one of these talking about resources. And I'm also probably going to have another one about time management and study tips. So if you want learn you want to learn more about that, stay tuned. I'll probably post them in the next week or so. Develop a routine. Consistency is the key to being a successful student. So write down your general weekly schedule and create a routine. Include things like when you'll do your homework, when you'll review the things you've learned, when you'll exercise, and so on. You can, again, like at this time I'm gonna do this homework. At this time I'm gonna review. This time I'm gonna do a puzzle. At this time I'm gonna play with my dog. Anything like that. Just have a routine and know that it's not possible to stick to your routine 100% of the time. Things are going to change and things are going to mess up. But at least set up the framework to keep you focusing on the track. I mean, you can see that kind of routine mess up when the pandemic hit. So go easy on yourself and know that it is very flexible, a routine. Keep an ongoing list of the questions you have about class material. So as you read your notes in the textbook, keep a list of things you don't understand and questions you have. As soon as you're able to, ask your teachers about the items on your list. If you do this consistently, you won't need to spend so much time studying for tests and exams because you already understand the information. I love doing this because I'll be taking notes, and on the side in a different color, I'll say, you know what, I didn't really understand this aspect. And I would go talk to my teacher about it or email my teacher, and they would kind of just like say it flat out and like answer the question completely, and be like, wow, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And then that way I don't have to like, you know, ruminate on that specific material because I'll already know it for the test, and it makes it so much easier. Every day, review all the information you learned in school earlier that day. A quick review of the key concepts should only take you about 20 minutes. And maybe not every class, be realistic about it. Maybe the harder classes that it's difficult, more difficult to keep up with. But doing this helps you understand as well as stay on top of the material if you do want to participate and do things like that. If you really can't do this review on the same day, do it the following day while the information is still fresh on your mind. I've heard a lot of professors recommend this. Double check that you've completed all the homework that's due the next day. I know a lot of times there will be students that are like, wait, we had homework on the group me or whatever. But again, that's on them. It's going to be on you. Set a recurring reminder so that you'll do this every day. This every school day in the mid-afternoon. This will prevent you from scrambling at the last minute or pulling an all-nighter just to get the assignment done. If this is your first time going to college, it is what they say is true. The teacher typically doesn't say, when an assignment due. Like every now and then they'll say, give you a reminder like, hey, there's a test coming up, or hey, there's this. But I know some people don't really check their emails or don't go on Blackboard regularly, which you should. And then they'll have work and they're like, wait, we had a test or whatever. So just double check. Always just double check. Same thing for homework, test, anything like that. Develop a specific plan for every upcoming test and exam. So don't just tell yourself that you'll study hard for the test or exam. That's too vague, and you may feel as if you're never prepared enough. Instead, develop a plan. Write down what resources you're going to use, how many practice questions you intend to do if that's your thing, how many times you plan to read the notes, anything like that. Write all the steps down on a sheet of paper and create a rough timeline as well. When you've completed everything on your plan, you'll know that you're prepared. I have test anxiety, so this is a really big one for me. Is I have kind of like a routine / plan that I do to kind of ensure my confidence and lessen that anxiety. So what I'll do is I'll mute the group me a week ahead of the test because that's when test talk starts happening. I know when we did go to the classroom that I would purposely show in on the mark of the class. I usually show up early, but I would show on the mark at the test because I didn't like seeing people scramble through their reviews. It would really freak me out, and it's like, oh, should I do the same? And I would go through it, and then it would cloud my judgment. I also know that in class, I actually probably studied / reviewed way more than I would outside of class. Like you going to class and you paying attention is actually a form of studying. I'm not saying just do that. Obviously, what I did was go to class every day, and then from there, I would review every now and then. But say they gave a review, then I would complete the review, and that would be a form of studying. Then I would study the review the day before the test, and I mean, it worked so far. I get A's and everything, not to brag or anything, but that's a plan that works for me and my test anxiety. Everything is different for everybody. Before you start work, eliminate all distractions. So this is going to be a big one when we're working remotely, right? So take a moment and think about the distractions you typically face when you're trying to study. I know a big one, and I just told her to leave the room, was my niece, because she was playing games and she was talking. I was like, hey, I'm going to make a video. So I I got rid of the distraction by keeping her upstairs. But common ones include text messages, notifications on your phone, social media, YouTube, books, and phones. In magazines, I typically put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I put it away. Just doing that, removing those distractions before you get to work. Put your phone in another room. Turn off internet access. Well, I don't know why you would want to do that. Sorry. And put books at the end of the room, anything like that, just remove it. Maybe not remove the internet access on your computer. I took that from somewhere, so don't pay attention to that part. Break down big tasks into smaller tasks. So breaking down big tasks and projects makes them seem less overwhelming and more manageable. So here's a big example. Rather than telling yourself that you need to work on your history essay or just any essay, which can be intimidating, break it down into smaller tasks. For example, read 10 articles on the topic of research, write an outline, write introduction, write main point, 1, 2, 3, conclusion, proofread the essay, adjust the formatting, and submit it. So hypothetically, say you're probably going to get week, 2 weeks, maybe even a month in advance. Sometimes like at the beginning of the year, they'll tell you that you have this due because it's on the syllabus. So you're going to have like an entire semester to work on it. So say like so say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 parts. All you need to do is before the due date, 10 days before, start it, and it's just something as small as that can really make a big difference. Set rules for yourself. So set some very specific rules for yourself. These could be things like complete all projects and assignments at least 2 days before they are due, or start studying for tests at least 1 week in advance. Review your rules once a month and adjust them if necessary. That's a very important one, is to adjust, because as you can see, adjustments are key during these times. Write everything down. So no one has a perfect memory. Trying to remember everything is stressful. So make a habit of writing down all your events, meetings, ideas, and things you need to do. Use a notebook or planner, or try an app like Google Keep or AnyDo. I found those online, and I don't know if they're free, to be honest, but you can look into that. That you can use on your phone and computer. I'm sure the Google one is free. When you write everything down, you'll be less anxious because you won't be relying on your brain as a storage device. Create your own deadline that is before that actual deadline, right? So create your own deadlines and put them in your planner or calendar. Having your own deadline reduces stress for you as a student, and you'll also be more likely to submit your best work. Don't treat the actual deadline as the deadline. Set your own deadline 1 or 2 days before and plan accordingly. That way you don't have to worry about it either. I do this all the time, and it helps so immensely because I'm just like, I'm already done. Like, I've got this. Work on one task at a time. Don't multitask. I'm very much a culprit of multitasking, thinking I can, but nobody really can. So it seems like a good idea because you can pretend like you're working twice as hard and you're like, yes, I'm doing both these things, right? But and we all get bored of the task we're working on, so jumping about seems more fun, like doing one thing. But then you just have a bunch of open projects or assignments, and that's no good. So the problem with multitasking is that it doesn't result in the best outcomes. So here's what I recommend. Take a piece of paper, and write down the task you're working on right now. So if you're working on a math assignment, questions 1 through 5, put that piece of paper on your table, desk, or whatever you're using to study to serve as a reminder for you to stay focused on the task at hand and not to jump to the next one. That's just a little recommendation. I know some people might have ADD or something, and that's like a whole other discussion that we'll talk about, and that might be hard for you to do, but for now, that's my little tip. Create a conductive environment at home for studying. So I put a few things that, were brought to my attention in terms of things people struggle with. So if you want to be an effective student, you need to have the right environment to work. You need all the necessary materials, stationery, paper, and study tools. You will also need a suitable table and lamp. So furniture is a big one. So having a comfortable desk, a comfortable chair, right? If you're going to be online on your computer, you want to be able to rest your feet on the floor and not have to hunch your shoulders over your laptop when you're working, because that's going to cause serious strain and you're just going to hate life and just not want to be on your computer. Lighting, another important one. A study place that is not lit properly may make you feel sleepy and put a strain on your eyes. Make sure your screen contrast is comfortable to look at. Use a small desk lamp to light your immediate study area, and a larger lamp or overhead light to light the rest of the room if you have a darker room like me. Sound, a very, very important one. You may be the kind of person who enjoys a little background noise when studying, like me. However, the most important thing to do is make sure the noise is your noise. For example, music that you choose or a radio station you enjoy. No noise from a neighbor, or traffic outside, or television can be a distraction. So try to minimize this as much as you can. This is a great one, and actually Active Minds is going to go more in depth on how to do this, and we're going to have an event around this topic. But learn to say no. If you want to be organized, effective student, you can't say yes to everything. There will always be trade-offs you'll need to make. So decide on the boundaries you want to set for yourself. Decide how many times you want to Zoom with your friends each week, how many days each week you'll devote to extracurricular activities, and what your priorities are. Then practice saying no to protect those boundaries, and don't feel guilty when you say no. Remember, it's not about being a busy student and doing the most things, it's about being an effective student. Manage your environment. So I meant to put that with the lighting and sound and everything, but schedule your day to dedicate to studying or participating in class. Check with your instructor if there are live lectures you should be calling into. Put your phone in airplane mode when you are in class or doing homework to minimize distractions. Find a place that is comfortable but still allows you to focus. And a very important thing is to separate your work from, I'm going to call it play. It sounds weird, but your work and play. So I know a friend that was like, it's awful doing your schoolwork in a place where you go to sleep, because then it's harder to go to sleep and just relax and wind down when you want to, because your mind's spinning and you're thinking a lot about work. So separate the two if you can. Like right now, I'm actually in my living room and I've been doing work downstairs rather than in my room, even though I have a desk in my room. Just because my bed's in there, and I really want to separate the two to kind of feel more comfortable when I do need to. Use a planner, like I mentioned. So put everything in your planner: homework, tests, and exam updates, family events, social events. This way you'll be more organized. If you don't prefer paper and would rather use your technological device, like I said, because we're on there most of the time now, then you can use Google Calendar, Google Keep. Like I said, I use Microsoft To-Do List, or My Study Life was another one that I found instead of a hard copy planner. Once a week, review the upcoming events in your planner calendar. Each week, take a few minutes to see what important events and deadlines are coming up over the next month. This will help you to ensure that you don't overlook any important projects, tests, or assignments, because like I said, it happens to people. We're humans. We're gonna forget. We just need like a billion things in our faces to realize, oh, this is due. Oh, it's happening. Reviewing your schedule helps you to stay on top of things. It also keeps you calm and in control and allows you to adjust your daily and weekly priorities. If a task takes 2 minutes or less to do, do it immediately. So this 2-minute rule was popularized by productivity expert David Allen. So when you follow this rule, small tasks don't pile up and become overwhelming. So things like texting a friend, sending your classmates some information via email, or asking your teacher a question are all quick tasks that can take less than 2 minutes to complete. When you do these tasks immediately, you'll also feel a sense of achievement too, and it's pretty cool. Stay engaged. Big thing. Communicate, communicate, communicate. I had mentioned in the Blackboard tutorial, if you mentioned that, if you are struggling Wi-Fi wise or internet wise, talk to your teacher. Reach out to your teacher. Check your email 2 or 3 times a day. This is how they're going to reach you. So remember the preferred email you put on when you joined UTSA, and check that email regularly. They're putting a bunch of updates now. Learn your virtual class times and log into the platform daily. So like I said in that Blackboard tutorial, I told you how to see what kind of class you have and when to see their kind of class times. So learn them and write them down somewhere so you know, like, hey, these days I'm meeting this day. And in terms of hybrid, their email is probably going to go out. So check your email from your teacher saying, hey, we're going to meet these days. Like mine already did that. Participate in class. So set a goal to ask a question or contribute to the conversation each lecture. I do this, and oh my gosh, I have I just don't regret it. I actually don't regret it at all. It's actually a cool thing, and like I said, it helps me study. It's a form of studying for me because I'm interacting and I'm paying attention on this whole other level. Ask for help. This is very, I mean, I say all of these are important, but this is key, right? So call, email, or set up a virtual meeting with your professor to talk about challenges you are having. So whether it's, connection, maybe it's personal, maybe you have to watch a family member and you're struggling to do work. That was me at the beginning of when all this went down, and I talked to my professor and they were like super understanding. You can also reach out to your success advisor or academic advisor. If you don't have accommodations or study resources, reach out to academic support. There's always things. If you're having problems logging in and accessing something, email IT's help desk. We have one of those. Another great one, take care of yourself. So like I said, I'm the president of Active Minds, if I didn't say that. We're an organization about stimulating positive discussion around mental health. And a big thing that we're going to take on this semester is self. You're going to be alone a lot with yourself during this time, learning things about yourself that you could never fathom. So take care of yourself. At the end of the day, you're the only one that is with yourself like 24/7. So FaceTime or call a family member, friends, and classmates for fun and relaxation. Maintain a good sleep schedule, eat well, exercise. See this as a learning moment. So this is an opportunity to learn adaptability, flexibility, and technologically savvy skills. So two desirable skills that employers look for. So this can actually be an advantage to some of us. Like I already put technologically savvy on multiple of my resumes and I'm hearing back and it's going good. And another thing, remember that you're not alone. Like everybody is learning something from this. Everybody is like taking it one day at a time. Not even the big guys know what's going on. Like nobody really is like fully 100% together right now. So don't be ashamed of that. Like I mentioned, in terms of mental health, we all have mental health. We might not all have a mental illness or anything, but when you're stressed, when you're overwhelmed, when you're concerned, when you're nervous, this all has to do with your mental health. And I know all of us as students have been stressed one time. That doesn't mean you have anxiety or anything. That can be a mental illness, but it just means that we all have mental health, so we should all take care of it. So take care of yourself during this time. Especially during this time, be deliberate about self-care. So create a designated work study spot, like I said, schedule time for self-care. Maybe it's lighting a candle, maybe it's taking a bubble bath, maybe it's more of the serious stuff like, hey, I should probably make a budget for myself because I don't have my job anymore. It can be serious stuff like that, but it's a form of caring for yourself and putting that time in for you. Moderate news intake and time on social media, right? That can be very toxic. Maintain schedules and routines, so sleeping, eating, moving. I know time can be a blur right now, so it's easier to just say, I'm going to stay up late and I'm going to just mess up with my sleep schedule. But that you should probably still sleep regular hours, right? That's probably good for you. Be open about your needs with family, roommates, professors, anything like that. Allow yourself and others grace, flexibility, and room for mistakes. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a time to be more understanding. Nobody has got it 100% together. We're all in this kind of struggle both together. So, you can't be perfect. You can't say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Things come up, things mess up, and that's okay. But allow yourself to go easy on yourself and have patience. That's the most important thing right now. I think that's it, but like I said, maybe I'll do a study tips one, maybe I'll do a time management one, and we're definitely going to do one discussing about resources available on campus. But thank you, and if you want any more information, you can find me at my email, elena889@gmail.com, or you can find us at activemindsuTSA@gmail.com. We're always looking for more members if you want to join. Like I said, we are all about stimulating positive discussion about mental health, so you don't have to have a mental illness. This is nothing like this. It's not a support group. we just openly discuss mental health, and that's a big thing right now. So if you just want to be on that train of talking about it and, you know, being aboard on something like this, join. You can find us on Rowdy Link. But until then, uh, good luck starting in a few days. It's exciting.